Welcome to Fondor Nature Reserve and Heritage Park, located in St Lucia, nestled between the communities of Lacaille, Lime, and the Dennery Village area. The Fondor Nature Reserve and Heritage Park is one of the most prolific yet underrated ecosystems and national parks in St Lucia and the Caribbean. The park occupies an area roughly between 350 to about 420 acres of land. This nature reserve comprises of grasslands, mangroves, tropical rainforests, and the remains of the factories used to produce sugarcane during slavery and beyond. During the autumn months in the United States, birds will leave the north and come down. This area here is one of the places that you will just find birds coming in after they have left North America. And so this place has great potential in terms of bird watching potential, and other things that could be used to expose people to the great amenities that we have in this place. One of the things that I fear the most is for some government entity to get this wonderful ecosystem in the hands of foreign people and investors especially. What we have seen for the most part is when a hotel is going to be established, even before that, the environmental people would normally call for an environmental impact assessment, where they would give an idea as to the plants and animals, other life forms, archaeological buildings that are in an area, and to show what impact those things will have in the environment, if any. And there are many cases in this country where the environmental impact assessment have shown clearly that there is great damage that could be done to fauna and flora in an area, and yet still those things are allowed to come into the country. But this environment, this place here, could be preserved. And as you could see, this place is one of the most underrated national parks in the Caribbean. This place has the potential to be one of the most visited parks, national parks, in the entire Caribbean region. But in order to do this, we have to keep this park out of the hands of private interests. There is much that can be seen and much that can be done in this place. We have Mr. Flavien, who is the tour guide of Fondor Historical Park. And so he's going to give us a list of some of the animals that you can find in the Fondor Park.
Okay. As you say to you all, my name is Paul Flavien. And at Fondor, where wildlife is concerned, the kind of wildlife you'll find here, you'll find opossum, aka manikou. You'll find agouti here. You'll find iguana, and also boa constrictor. But you don't find poisonous snake here. Also, you'll find some huge toad, frogs, right here at Fondo. The species of birds also you will find at Fondo. You won't find the parrots here. The parrots, they all live in the rainforest because parrot is a very tricky bird. Parrot lay nest on trees at 120 feet tall. So more in the rainforest you will find parrots. But all other birds you want to see, you will find them here. I'll give you a list. You will find the mangrove cuckoo here, local name cuckoo mayok. You will find the redneck pigeon, local name wamier. You will find the banana quit, local name sukuye. You will find the Adelaide's warbler, local name chit. You will find the common ground dove, local name zantula. You will find the morning dove, local name tutwell. You will find the thrasher. They have two thrasher, the one with the pearly eye thrasher and the scaly breasted thrasher, local name guiv. You will find the bullfinch, local name penwe, and also the brown one is called in Creole menson, but they made together, black and the brown one. Also you'll find the saltwater, local name gobek. Also you'll find the bed-eye thrasher, local name tiwi. Also you will find the lesser Antillean peewee, local name pin. You will find the crested Antillean hummingbird, local name kiliwi. And the other one, it have a red and green by the fruit, is called a purple-footed carib. You will find the cattle egret, local name kayali. You will find the heron also. Those live in the rivers. Also you find the piper, local name puldlo. You will find the broadwing hawk or the chicken hawk, local name malfini. You will find the quail hawk, local name guigikule. So all those wildlife, you find them right here at Fondo.
So what are some of the activities that somebody can take part in when they come to this place?
We host jazz festival here, as we all know. Weddings take place here. Also we have in Greens Energy every year. It take place right here at Fondo. Bouncing Castle, and any kind of activity can take place right here at Fondo.
Now, one of the ecosystems that we have here at Fondo are wetlands.
So many times we see these areas, and for the most part, some people see these areas as places that are inconvenient to them. Some people see those places are places that are just places that house and nest and hold mosquitoes and other animals that are probably unfavorable to them. But these areas are very important for our survival. These areas are considered and are defined as wetlands. And we're going to use a definition based on the EPA, United States Environmental Protection Agency. And they define a wetland as areas where water covers the soil or is present either at or near the surface of the soil all year or for varying periods of the year, including during the growing season. And they are very important. Very important in some countries. They provide livelihoods for people who live in those places. And to some, they are places that house mosquitoes and snakes, and in the minds of some people these are very undesirable places. But these places, these wetlands, are very important for our survival. There are very good benefits that we derive from having those places. One of the benefits of having wetlands in an area, in a country, in a region, is that it protects areas from flooding. These wetland areas have the capacity to store large amounts of waters. So when you have your storms during the hurricane seasons and other times, these are the places that actually protect our farms and in some cases our homes, depending on where you're located, because they have the capacity to store large amounts of water. So that's one. Another benefit of having wetlands is that it protects your water quality. Now you know that in certain places we have farms, and on these farms they use chemicals like herbicides and other chemicals. Now, because in most cases there is not a buffer zone between the farm and the water bodies, the chemicals that you use are able to leak through the waterways or through the wetlands, through directly or absorb on soil surfaces. So when you see the dirty water coming from the farms and those places, the chemicals that were applied on the farm also goes into the water, sticking to the soil particles in a process called adsorption. So when the chemicals reach these wetlands, they are actually taken off and goes into the plant or broken down by microorganisms like bacteria or fungi through a process called bioremediation. So the chemicals that were once present in the water, when it reaches the wetlands, it is broken down into something that is not that harmful by processes taking place as a result of the bacteria you have in the wetlands and the plants that you have there. So the wetlands actually break down these harmful chemicals in those areas, in these wetlands, and prevent them from reaching the sea and preventing them from reaching the water sources sometimes that we use to drink. Now, it is very important that the bioremediation take place in the wetlands, because if these herbicides get into the sea, one of the things that they do is that in the cases where you have corals, it bleaches the corals. So you will see the coral, whereas the coral reef supposed to be, you're supposed to be seeing different colors, and then it attracts different colors of fish. You will not have these areas, and these areas are areas that the tourists use. They usually like to come and dive in those places. But when the chemicals get into these places, it bleaches the corals, and so the fish are not attracted to these areas, and then you lose money. You lose tourism money by allowing the chemicals to get into those places, into the sea. And also the water that you drink, the water that you consume in your country, in your catchment areas, the wetland is able to filter by the same process, filter out the chemicals. So it is very important. That's another important reason for having the wetlands. It protects the quality of the water that you consume. In some countries, another benefit that they derive is that people, tourists and other people, come to those areas to actually see the beauty of those places and to even watch birds and other animals in those places. In places like Fonda, we have crabs, and there are people who make a livelihood or subsidize their livelihood by coming and hold crabs and catch crabs in these areas to sell. So there are many opportunities that we can derive from having these wetlands, and we have not even explored them. Another benefit from having these wetlands is that in wetlands you have plants that would have not been able to grow in other environments, and so some of these plants have medicinal benefits that can be exploited or explored to help in managing different diseases. You also have animals in those places that can be explored for food and even for medicine also. It is a shelter for spawning of fish. There are some fish in the ocean, and they come to these wetlands in order to spawn, so that the eggs can be protected and the young ones can be protected in those areas. But what we have sometimes is, because some of us do not understand the benefits and the value of the wetlands, you have situations where people will just come and just cut trees indiscriminately to make coals, or sometimes they will use chemicals in those places. In this situation here, we have somebody who's actually planting dashing in this wetland. Now, invariably, that person will be using fertilizer in that area because they believe that they'll want to help their plants grow better. All these nitrates and these other chemicals, invariably they'll find themselves in the sea, even in the mangrove areas. These things, what they will do, they will cause a proliferation of certain algae in the water. And what will happen is it will cut down on the amount of oxygen in the water, and it can cause some fish to die. So it is very important that we understand the impact of human beings on the balance of nature. And we are not saying that these resources should not be used by the people, but it should be managed in such a way that the people utilize the wetland resources while at the same time being cognizant of the fact that you are not supposed to pollute it. You're not supposed to over exploit the minerals and the resources that are in these places.
Now, this is a large expanse of land which is mainly used for pasture. So in this area, individual farmers would have their cows grazing here.
So this is the highest point in this general area here. A compadre was telling me many years ago that the water level has never reached here. So all of this here, during a hurricane, during a storm, when there's a lot of water, all this whole area there is flooded. This area is flooded. And as you can see some wetland plants growing in this area over here, because this whole area is a wetland. That means around half of the year this area will be covered with water, and all this whole area here, these whole areas here are wetlands, as you can see. Wetland. And this whole area over there are the grasslands area, and they use this area mainly for cattle grazing. But this point here is the highest point here. The highest point in that region is where I'm standing here right now.
If you were to go through the annals of history, you would find out that there were 2 sugarcane factories in the Dennery Basin. One was at Lakai at the Dennery Farmco Estate. And the other at Fondor.
My name is Paul Flavien. Fondor, it is a historical site where the Europeans used to make sugar here before. So at Fondor they have all the remains of the mills. So on site they have the windmill, the cattle mill, and the boiling and curing house, and also the juice holder.
Based on Mr. Bide's explanation, this old building was once a sugarcane factory,
It was constructed out of stones, sand, lime, and molasses. And the metal structure, the metal wheel to the left, is actually part of an engine that was propelled by steam, which was used for the processes involved in the manufacturing of the sugar. Yes, wonderful people. Sometimes the very thing you're looking for is the one thing you just can't see. I'm trying to encourage you, no matter what, to preserve this natural heritage. There have been attempts to try to sell this natural heritage that we have here, or at least there was a certain man who was speaking on platform saying that he was talking to one of these tennis people, these Williams sisters, with regards to having a golf course or something in this area here. What I want to tell you is this. Sometimes acute hunger acute hunger can cause you to sell your birthright. You remember in the Bible where there were two brothers, Jacob and Esau? And Esau sold his birthright to his brother just because he was hungry. At that time he was just hungry and he had to get something to eat. So he sold his birthright because he was hungry. And sometimes that's what we do. We just sell the best thing that we have just because we are hungry. You must, even if you're hungry, you must not be so hungry that you sell this mother heritage back, this national treasure. We must never sell this thing. There is revenue that we can generate ourselves from this thing here. We do not need other people. We do not need private investors. We do not need foreign investors to come and invest nothing here. We can develop this facility ourselves and make it world class. We do not need anybody coming here to try to enrich us as it relates to this. We do not want people coming here to do environmental impact assessment with the objective of trying to list this thing to some people from overseas. We are good just the way we are. We like it just the way we have it. We are capable of developing this thing where we can get people from overseas coming here to watch the birds, to just sit here. This is a marvelous place here. This is a remarkable place. There is so much that we can do, that can be done in this place here. Sometimes the very thing we're looking for is the one thing we can't see. There is much life in this place, much fauna, flora, much research that can be done in this place. There are people who make a living here just catching crabs and selling by the road. There are people who come here after floods to get dry coconuts to make oil to sell. There is much life in this ecosystem here, in this immediate environment. And this is one of the heritage, this is one of the things that we have to preserve for ourselves. We want this one for ourselves. We do not want a 99-year deal on this one. We do not want a 50-year deal with anybody. This one is ours. This is ours. This is our heritage. This is for the National Heritage Park. Keep the fire burning.